I see this cycle often. You're adding listings, researching keywords, trying to make better designs, and your Etsy shop still isn't gaining traction. Maybe you're barely getting any views at all, or maybe you are getting traffic, but no one is buying. Either way, it can leave you feeling like you're doing all of the things and somehow still missing something. And when that happens, the internet usually wants you to jump to quick conclusions. Your SEO must be terrible, the market must be too saturated, or Etsy must be hiding your listings. Or better yet, try this one viral trend on this one viral product and that'll surely fix it. But what if the real problem is something much simpler than that? In this video, I want to walk you through 5 hidden reasons Etsy shops struggle to gain traction. And as we go through them, I want you to do a quick mental audit of your own listings with me. And I'll give you just a few simple questions to think about and ask yourself along the way as you reflect on your own shop. Because most of the time, the problem isn't that your shop can't succeed, it's that there's a disconnect somewhere between what you're creating and how a buyer is experiencing it. And once you can spot that disconnect, it usually becomes a lot easier to fix. In case you haven't met yet, my name is Mandy. Think of me as kind of like your big sister in business who is fully obsessed with being an Etsy print-on-demand seller, but also wants to help you feel confident with designing, identifying profitable niches, and growing a successful business so that your products can get seen, loved, and sold without inventory and without the overwhelm. The first thing we need to talk about is traffic, because when sellers say their shop isn't working, one of two things is usually happening. Either they're not getting much traffic at all, or they are getting views, but those views aren't turning into sales. And what a lot of people don't realize is that not all traffic is created equal. Getting views feels exciting at first. It feels like progress, like Etsy is finally starting to notice your listings. And it is. But traffic by itself doesn't tell us very much, because if the wrong buyer is clicking into your listing, even a good product won't convert. Some are casually browsing, some are looking for something completely different, some may not even be the type of customer your product was designed for in the first place. So even though Etsy is technically sending traffic to your listing, it's not necessarily sending the right buyer. And when that happens, the views might go up, but the sales don't follow. So here's the first question I want you to ask yourself as part of this little shop audit. When someone lands on your listing, would your ideal customer immediately recognize that the product was made for them or intended for them? Because the clearer you are about who a product is for, the easier it becomes for Etsy to start matching that listing with the right buyer. And that alignment between the product and the person searching for it is where traction really starts to happen. But if the wrong people are landing on your listing in the first place, how did they even find it? And this brings us to the second hidden problem, what I call the keyword trap. Because once sellers learn that SEO matters on Etsy, they usually start putting a lot of effort into their keywords, almost obsessively. They research phrases, they tweak their titles a million times, they try to optimize their tags a million times. And again, none of that is inherently wrong. Research is important, and validating what people are searching for is important. But where things can start to go a little sideways is in how those keywords are being used. There are a few really common patterns that I see. Sometimes sellers start stuffing the same words over and over again in slightly different combinations, hoping it will improve their chances of being found. This used to be a thing circa 2017 when I first started on Etsy, but really carries no real benefit nowadays. Other times, the keywords are just too generic to really tell Etsy or the customer what the product is actually for. Things like cute shirt, funny mug, gift for her. And then there's the opposite problem, which is when sellers write keywords that are too literal. They describe the exact phrase or design on the product instead of thinking about how a real person would actually search. So instead of typing something like sarcastic coffee mug with funny cat quote, a buyer is more realistically going to search for something like funny Siamese cat mug, or gift for cat lover, or cat mom coffee mug. So this is where I want you to pause for a second. Look at your listings and ask yourself, do my keywords describe what the product is, who it's for, and the purpose or occasion for which someone might buy or gift it? Because when you start answering those questions, something really interesting happens. You naturally begin to step into the mindset of the buyer. And once you do that, the keywords become a lot clearer. Instead of trying to guess what Etsy wants, you start describing the product the way a real customer would search for it in words that they would actually use. And that's when the visibility starts to align with the right buyer and get your traffic in front of the right people. But even when the right person does find your listing, there's still another hurdle because a buyer still has to feel something when they see the design. So if visibility alone isn't enough, what actually makes someone stop and click? Let's say the right buyer actually does find your listing. Your keywords are clear, Etsy is starting to send the right type of traffic, and they click. But then they leave. No favorite, no add to cart, no sale. This is where the next hidden issue tends to show up because a lot of designs are technically fine. They're clean, they're readable, they might even follow a trend, but they don't actually trigger anything emotionally for the buyer. And on Etsy, a lot of purchases are emotional decisions first and logical decisions second. Think about how people actually shop on Etsy. They're scrolling quickly, design after design after design. Most of them probably blur together. But every once in a while, something stops them. Not because it's the most artistic design in the search results, but because it feels personally relevant. It speaks to something about who they are or who they're buying for. Maybe it reflects a hobby, a profession, a life moment, or a whole personality trait. Things like mahjong lovers, or sports moms, or grade school teachers, or grill master dads, or pediatric nurses, or new grandmas, or bachelorettes getting ready for a coastal wedding. You get the idea. When those buyers see something that speaks directly to that part of their identity, their brain instantly goes, yes, that's exactly what I was looking for, or would be perfect for my friend or for this upcoming celebration. That moment of recognition is incredibly powerful. But when a design feels too generic, the buyer might still think it's nice, they just don't feel a strong enough reason to stop. So here's the next question I want you to think about. When someone sees your design for the first time, does it clearly connect to a specific person or identity? Or could it realistically apply to almost anyone? Because the strongest designs on Etsy usually make the buyer feel like the product was specifically made for them. And when that emotional connection happens, the click becomes much more likely. But even when someone clicks, they still have to feel confident enough to buy. So if a buyer likes the design but still doesn't purchase, what on earth is stopping them? That's where the next issue shows up. So let's say someone finds your listing, the keywords brought the right type of buyer, the design catches their attention, they click, but they still don't buy. This is where we hit what I'm calling a conversion gap. Because when someone lands on a listing, the buying decision actually comes down to three very simple things in most cases. First, do they love the design? Second, do the mock-ups of listing photos support the design and aesthetic well enough for them to picture owning it? And third, is there any friction in the buying process? Any one of those pieces breaks down, the buyer hesitates. And hesitation is usually where the sale is lost. The first piece we already talked about a little in the previous section. If the design doesn't create that immediate emotional connection, people tend to keep scrolling. If it's just not a great design, people keep scrolling. But the second piece is how the design is presented. Your mock-ups should make the design feel real. Buyers should be able to immediately picture how it looks on the product, how large the design appears, how it fits into their life or the moment they're buying for. And so if the mock-ups are unclear, cluttered, seem unprofessional or really generic, or don't match the aesthetic of the design, buyers have to imagine too much. And many simply move on. And then there's the third piece, friction. This is where a lot of listings accidentally lose sales. For example, sometimes the listing gives the buyer too many decisions to make. We all know that personalization and options sell, but there's a careful balance between options and decision fatigue. There's a concept in consumer psychology called the paradox of choice that basically says if a buyer is presented with too many options, they might walk away entirely because they're overwhelmed. Too many variations, too many colors, too many customization options for the design, even small moments of confusion can cause someone to abandon the purchase. Another common friction point is pricing context. Not necessarily because the price is wrong, but because the design looks too similar to everything else in the search results, which means now the buyer is comparing 10 nearly identical listings, and suddenly the decision becomes purely about price. And that's when shops find themselves getting pulled into that race to the bottom. So the goal of your listing is really simple. Remove as much friction from the buying decision as possible. That means clear, unique designs, strong mockups, a few cohesive options that make sense for colors and personalization, a simple path to purchase. Which means the next question you can ask yourself is, when someone lands on your listing, is it immediately clear why this product is worth buying and easy for them to say yes? Because when those three pieces line up, the design, the presentation, and the buying experience, conversion becomes much more natural. But there's still one final piece that determines whether a shop gains traction. And this is perhaps the part most Etsy sellers don't always take into consideration. Etsy itself is also paying attention to how buyers interact with your listings, which leads to the final reason shops sometimes struggle to gain momentum. And that is Etsy needs proof. And ultimately, this is a culmination of really all of the things that we've talked about so far. Etsy is constantly learning from how buyers interact with listings. The strategies from 10 years ago or even 5 years ago no longer work sometimes in the same way because Etsy's algorithm is not the same as it used to be. It's not just whether a listing shows up in search or if you have the right keyword. That's why the emphasis on SEO is not as high as it used to be, because it's looking at what happens after someone sees it. Do they click? Do they favorite it? Do they add it to their cart? Do they buy? And that buyer's past behavior and marketplace interactions matter as well, because Etsy is trying to curate what that buyer sees. Is it always perfect? No. We could spend hours talking about the Etsy algorithm. Etsy does a lot of testing and adjusting, just like any other marketplace. But all of those customer behavior actions send signals back to Etsy one way or another. And over time, those signals help Etsy decide whether a listing and a shop deserve more visibility. This is why momentum on Etsy can feel a little strange at first, and sometimes a little frustrating. Sometimes a listing sits quietly for a while, and then suddenly it starts getting more views, more favorites, and more sales. Then those sales turn into reviews, and the Etsy flywheel takes over. That's often because Etsy finally has enough buyer interaction data to feel confident showing that listing to more people. But in the beginning, Etsy doesn't have much information yet, which means your early listings might still be in the stage of needing to prove themselves. Etsy is testing them with small amounts of traffic and watching what happens. If buyers respond well, the listing gradually earns more visibility. If buyers click but don't engage or purchase, Etsy has less reason to keep showing it. And that's data and information too. Now, this is the part that isn't always immediate and sometimes takes time to really build a solid foundation of listings that help your shop build that consistent momentum. This is the part that takes time, persistence, and patience. So here's the last question I want you to think about with your shop, and be honest with yourself. If Etsy sent 100 of your ideal buyers to your listings tomorrow, how many of them do you think would realistically engage with them? Would they click, favorite it, share it, buy it? Because when listings start generating those kinds of signals, Etsy gets the confirmation it needs to keep pushing them further in search. And that's when shops start to experience real traction. Oftentimes, the things that we think are going to sell aren't necessarily the case. And so if you're not sure how they would react yet, or if you're not feeling like your listings are there yet, or perhaps through all of this, you just realize that they need some work, that is totally normal and part of the learning and growing process. And ultimately, why I created this channel in the first place, which brings us back to the bigger picture. When a shop isn't gaining traction, it usually isn't because the seller is doing everything wrong. It's usually because something in the process just isn't fully aligned yet. Maybe the right buyers aren't seeing the listing. Maybe the design isn't creating the moment where someone feels personally connected to it. Or maybe the listing itself is creating just enough friction that people hesitate to buy. And when you step back, those are really the three things that every successful Etsy shop has to learn how to do well. And again, that takes time. Your products need to be seen by the right buyers. They need to be loved enough that someone feels an emotional connection and drawn to them when they discover them. And the listing needs to make it easy for that product to be sold. That is the entire foundation of building a shop that doesn't just get visits, but actually converts those visits into sales. But I also want to be really clear here. Building a real business on Etsy takes time, and doing it well is honestly not always for the faint of heart. There isn't a magic bullet, and there isn't one quick trick that suddenly fixes everything in every shop. Instead, the real process looks a lot more like what we just did in this video. You reflect, you identify what's not quite clicking yet, you keep learning, and you adjust over and over again, because every shop is different, every niche is different, and every seller's journey is going to look a little different too. And that's actually the whole point. You're not trying to copy someone else's exact formula. You're learning how to build something that works for your shop, your niche, and your customers. So if you want to go deeper on this idea of building listings that get seen, loved, and sold, I have an entire free video series right here on my channel that walks through that process step by step, so that you can keep exploring all of the different pieces that go into building listings that convert and shops that build momentum. And if you want to see the exact growth cycle I personally follow inside my shops, the one that helped me recently reach $20,000 in revenue in a single month, I also have a video breaking that down in detail. That's another great one to watch after this because it shows how all of these pieces actually come together in a real shop. And of course, if you want support while you're figuring out your strategies or navigating your shop's growth, that's exactly what's inside Simply Thrive, my monthly membership. You get access to monthly niche and trend reports, bestseller design templates, live coaching calls, and a supportive group of amazing sellers just like you as you build your shop without the overwhelm. I hope this is helpful for you as you continue growing your Etsy shop. And as always, stay focused, my friends. Keep taking action and never stop pursuing excellence in your business. Thanks for watching. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next one.